Hey everybody, welcome back to my basement and all things Jeff. In today's episode, we are going to build a cardboard house similar to these. Now in this mess is every house I have ever lived in. Also in here are duplicates of houses that the Baltimore City Fire Department made for their train garden back in the 60s. I redid every one of them so we can preserve the originals. So the house we're going to do today, it's not too far away. It's a nice looking little house. It's a good starter model for you guys. It's right across the street from this church, actually. So please sit back, relax, like and subscribe, and let's get to it. All right, here we go. This isn't complicated. There's a few steps, but it's not complicated. First thing, we need a flat surface that's hard. You can use a tabletop like a ping pong table. I have this melamine shelving. That's just something I use. So to make these houses, I'm going to show you the template I use for this house. It's not overly complicated. I think it's a nice looking house. So here's the template. It has the side, the front, the other side, and then the back of the house. We just trace this out on a thicker piece of paper, cardboard, cut right on the lines and then bend it. Looks great. We have all the parts here. Here's the porch floor. This is the bottom of the house so that you can put a light inside. Real easy. Here's the roof. It even shows you where the ridge line is on top and is labeled house 2 just in case these things get mixed up. Here's the porch. It's the side, the front, and the side. It just bends. So basically we're just making boxes and attaching boxes to boxes. Not complicated. We had a porch roof, a chimney. Oh, this is the roof up here on top. And then this is the porch roof. All right. So this is nothing but poster board. Here's a piece of poster board like you use in school. This piece costs 37 cents. This would do at least 2, maybe 3 templates, depending on how complicated and large they are. I came up with a cost to build one of these houses. And the cost, depending on the size, but the average cost would be $11.34. You cannot buy anything for $11.34, and you'll have the satisfaction of making something yourself. So the things we need to get this done: we have to have our poster board. We have to have a surface. A T-square helps a lot. You don't need it, but it helps. A triangle for doing right angles. And then you're going to need a ruler. You can use a regular ruler. This is a mechanical ruler. It has 1/4 inch to the foot, 1/8 inch to the foot. A pencil. And most importantly, an eraser. I make a lot of mistakes. Erasers are your friend. And I have to wear these. These aren't mine. These are my wife's. I stole them from her. All right. So to get started, you have to figure out what you're making first. So we went and took pictures of a house. And just from the pictures, I can kind of figure out how big the house is. A door is 3 feet wide. A window is about 30 inches or 3 feet. So just guesstimate. Make it your own. It doesn't have to be perfect. If it doesn't look good, change it a little bit and make it whatever you want. All right, so we have our poster board. First thing we're going to do is put some tape on the corners so it doesn't move on us. All right. All right. Then we're going to start drawing the house. It's really simple. If you've never done it, practice on a piece of paper that doesn't matter. Keep this T-square flat against this edge, straight up and down. Keep your triangle tight against this. Just make sure they're all tight. That way you always have right angles no matter where you go, or a 45 or whatever you need. All right. So Corey's going to show you a picture of the house we're going to do. I'm going to show you, he's also going to show you a little sketch I did of rough dimensions. And then we're going to lay it out on this paper and cut it out. All right. You've seen the house. in a picture, and now here is the picture I drew. So real quick, I drew, the left side, what it looks like with the chimney. Turn it over. The front, the right side, and then the back. Nothing fancy. Then I convert it into what I'm going to draw on this poster board. The dimensions represent feet. So 8 feet, 4 feet, 2.5 feet, all the way across. And then the typical height of the building is 8 feet high per floor. Pretty easy to figure out. So let's get started drawing this. All right, there you have it. I took this rough drawing here, converted it to scale. The scale we're using is 3/16. It is not scale to anything Lionel or MTH. It's just a scale that we make up. It'll be close to this size. This is a good size for O gauge. It fits anywhere on the layout. I love these houses. All right, so next thing we're going to do is get the cutting board and put it here, and we're going to cut. So here we go. All right, as you can see, I turn the knife and I pull it away from the center mullion. It's a really small piece, and you don't want to cut into it at all for the template. And then that way it doesn't fall apart later when you're tracing. Okay. All right, and that quick, you have a template. Very similar to the templates I made before. Nothing extraordinary. Draw it, cut it. If you've noticed, I'm using a regular utility knife. I've tried X-Acto knives. They're too small for my hand. I do have a new vibrating knife. I'm going to give it a try on a thicker cardboard, but I'm comfortable with this. Always keep your hand on the mat or on the board while you're cutting. Don't try to hold it like this and guide the blade. Nice, long, slow strokes, and you'll stay on the line. All right, we're going to trace this out and then cut the final product. Now, 2 products. They're a little bit different size, as you can see, a little bit different color, which really doesn't matter. This is mat board. This is made for doing photography or mounting pictures in frames. It works. It's a nice, thick, heavy board. It cuts pretty well. I don't use it as much. It's not as sturdy as this product. Depending on where you get it, I get it at a craft store. It can be called Illustrator board, or it can be called presentation board. It's a little bit smaller. This board goes for about $9 a piece. This board goes for about $12. This will do 4 houses. This will only do 2 or 3 if you're lucky. Depends how big they are. But it's a better quality. I like it. It holds up better. So let's start. Okay, I'm going to cut out the rough shape with my utility knife. Then we're going to try the new toy for the smaller cuts. All right, there you go. We have a completed template, or a completed model, sorry. The next step is to cut these lines partially so that the cardboard will bend. Get practice on a piece of scrap before you try this in real life. You have to have just the right touch. It takes a couple tries. So basically, it's better to do 2 or 3 light swipes. So we're just going to easily down the line. And then you'll feel it bend real easy. And there you go. So easy enough. Okay, I think you've seen me write this on here where it says cut inside. So this has to be a reverse cut. So I need to transfer the lines around to the back, which is simple enough. Okay. This little piece is a gluing flange. So when you complete the model, you turn it all the way around. This little flange tucks right into there. And if I hold it steady, you get a good idea what it's going to look like once it's all said and done. So now we have to cut a base for it. All right, once we get the base, then we can start gluing things together. Okay, we have our base, we have our walls. Now we have to put paint on the inside of the windows after I clean up a little bit of this cutting. And then we're going to put windows on the inside. That's what's next. All right, it's time to put some paint on the windows, the inside where I cut, and a little bit around the edge. So after we put the stone on, it looks like a window frame. We're just using white paint. It's acrylic paint. I get the big jars of the white and the black, and I get small jars of the colors. It looks like that. It's pretty cheap. Lasts for 100 houses or more. Any kind of paintbrush that you're comfortable with. I have a whole different selection of sizes. All right, we've gone one time through doing the inside of the window frame and around the exterior. It's all dry, still wet down this end, but it'll be dry before we get there. Let's go back and do a second coat, and that'll be it. All right, all the windows are painted on this level. We still have to cut some out for the upper level, but we'll do that after we put the roof on. Next step is we're going to put clear windows in. I need to let the paint dry for a minute. But before I do that, I had a surprise the other day. My brother Shawn dropped by, and this is what he dropped off. So he dropped off a model from the Baltimore City Fire Department, similar to all the ones that I have that I redid. I forgot he had this one. So he asked me to remake this. You know, it has some damage here. You know, it's crushed on the top. It's just wearing out. It's old. So it's the Macomb Junction Volunteer Fire Company. That's what all of the stations and houses were called, Macomb Junction. I looked it up, and it's a town in India. So I assume that the firefighters who made these probably were in World War II. So we'll look forward to doing this one. If you see other things happening alongside of this, you'll know what it is, because I'm going to do it at the same time. All right, so I'll be back in a few minutes once this is dry enough to glue windows on, and we'll get started on windows. All right, we're back. It's been about 20 minutes. Paint's dry. We're ready to put windows on. So we turn it on its face. So this is the inside of the building. These are the windows. This is the film we're going to use. They're basically dividers for a notebook. They're a clear, semi-opaque, I don't know what you would call it. And you can't really see through it, but light goes through it really well and it diffuses it. So that's what I like to use. I use contact cement, just a basic contact cement. I've used the spray contact cement before, spray it in a dish and then use a paintbrush, whatever works. We also in the past used wrapping paper for gifts, and that way you get some color going through. All right, so the first thing we do, I lay the plastic over top of the building. Oops, I guess I need I need a pencil. Over top of the building and give it a general idea of what size I want this to be. I do each section separately, and then I outline each window, including down the middle, so I know where to put the contact cement and where not to put the contact cement. All right, we're going to label this number 1. Number 1. All right, so we'll cut that out real easy. Pair of scissors. And then we're going to glue it on here. Let me cut the other ones out first, and then we'll glue them all at the same time. Okay. All right, here comes the tricky spot, is trying to line everything up perfectly again. So we take number 1, put it on number 1, and so on. That's why I put the lines on the windows, so that I can line everything back up exactly how it should be. Here we go. All right, success. We have windows, complete. Now these are just clear windows, which I use on most of my houses, but some of them we get a little fancier with, and I do color windows. So I just take some kind of marker, put it on the inside, whatever color you want, and you could do curtains. You could make them look like curtains on the inside if you wanted with a marker. Do whatever you want. Different color windows, wherever you want. It's really easy. All right, next step. We are going to glue the house to the base. Here's the base. Now, I put these lines on the base so I can help line everything up square. So I drew all these lines with the T-square. You saw me do that a while ago. You were probably wondering, what are all those extra lines for? Well, now you know. So here we go. We got our glue. Now, this is a little trick I learned a long time ago. A big hypodermic needle. All right, just has a plastic plunger in the bottom, very small tip. Put some glue in there. It's easier than dispensing out of that giant tip. Turn it upside down and let the air come out. It is a little messy at first. There we go. All right. So now we're going to put this on here about where it goes and put some lines. All right, there, there, there. That one's going to be about here. That one's close to the front. So then that one turns here. Oops, I got it backwards. The hole has to go towards the back. All right, do this again. Here, here, here. So then line that one up about straight. I'll just draw on the inside this time. That one's straight. That one's about the front. Turn it 90 degrees, 90 degrees. All right, that gets me close. So then we're just going to put some glue on here. And sit the model right down in the glue. Using our lines. Scissors. There you go. I just like to take a piece of the same board I make the house out of, cut a couple little strips, clean my glue up. So we know there's a right angle. All right, took me a minute, but we've got it all glued down. The glue is scraped away from the base of the building so that I'm able to cut the cardboard later after it's all glued. We'll re-glue it from the inside. We'll get it really good and glued. And then we'll get the roof put on. So this will take about 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes to set up. In the meantime, I have a few things I'm gonna do and I'll be right back. All right, we're back. I think everything's dry, so let's check it out. Ooh. Looks really good. Okay. All right, next step. We're gonna take our glue and we're going to run a bead of glue around the inside of the entire building. All right, now you can see it's just to add some additional reinforcement to the inside. All right, now we're gonna make a roof. So we're gonna set this aside. All right, so I got all the parts cut now. You've seen me cut the dormer for the roof, well, the roof itself, the dormer, the roof for the dormer. May need to be a little smaller, but we'll adjust it. And then the front roof. Not sure what you call that, but the only thing after that will be the porch roof, but we'll cut that once everything else is in place. This ultrasonic knife, I'm not too sure about it. I kind of like just a regular utility knife. I think it works just as well, and it's a lot cheaper. All right, so we're going to put this away for now. I think we're done with this. I'm going to return it to who I borrowed it from. We are going to glue this roof on tonight, and that is it for today. I'll have to total up the hours, and I'll let you know when we restart. Once I glue this roof, it needs to have weight, so I just use two spring clips, with a piece of string between them. And you have to play with it a little bit, but you adjust them so that they hold the roof down. Takes a minute. And they keep pressure on the roof so it sticks. All right, so let's do that. Let's put some glue on this. And that'll be it for tonight. Oh, we have to write on the inside of the roof what this is before we put the roof on. I do that on every model. Who built it, the year it was built, and where the house is located. So let me get that done. Okay, so I got the inside labeled with everything it needs to have. You do whatever you want. I'm going to glue it up. All right, day two. Day one, we were about 2 hours and 30 minutes to get to this point. I lost you guys right when I was finishing up. The battery died, so here we are again. Let's get started. So today we are going to put the roof on the front, add the walls to the upper level in the back, hopefully get the roof on there if the glue dries, and then we have to add a porch roof to the front here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to paint the second floor windows. All right, they bend like that. So let's get our paper and get to painting. All right, we're going to take a quick break, let that paint dry, and then put windows on it. And then we can glue it on top of the building. All right, we're dry, and we're going to put the clear film on. Remember, it's just from a notebook. It's nothing special. You've seen me do this before. Okay, we've got some drying to do, maybe about 30 minutes. So I'm going to do a little cleanup here, and then I'm going to start building the firehouse that I showed you, but I'm not going to film it. I am going to put all these away. These are all the templates from all the houses that you see over there, even the churches. There's the church. That's probably my favorite. So let me put those away and get those out of here, and I'm going to clean up. We'll see you soon. All right. Let's check this out. Okay. Looks like we got the windows on there good. They're 99% dry. I'm sure you're wondering why we put the hole in the roof when we did that. That's so the light can come up from the bottom and shine through the top windows. Pretty simple. Now we have to put the top roof on. But before we do that, I'm going to glue, just like we did before, glue on the inside to help it be much stronger when it's all finished. And then once the roof is on, we'll turn it over and glue the insides of the roof. But for now, let's get the roof put on. All right, we're back. I did a few things while you weren't looking. The first thing I did is I added this little porch roof underneath. It's hard to see, but it's just a little piece. That's going to support my post that I put in here on the corner, just like the real house has. The other thing I did is I glued all of my roof joints. I put a little extra glue on them, especially down the center where I bend it. I cut it and bend it. That gives it a lot of strength. And then we're going to put caulk on there. We're going to do that in a minute. So you don't have to do that. I just think it gives you a better product. The other thing I did is on the inside, just like when I glued the perimeter wall to the base, I added additional glue where the roof touches the sidewalls. Again, just makes it a little stronger. I mean, it's solid. This thing is not going anywhere. So we're going to glue. I didn't do the corners yet. So we're going to do these corners, and then we're going to put the post in. We're going to let that glue dry. Then we're going to add the caulk, and then it's time to paint it. We also need to make shutters. I don't think the original house had shutters. I need to look at the pictures, but we're going to add shutters to this one because I like them. All right, let's go. All right, we have a completed model ready for paint once the caulking dries. I use the caulk where I bend the cardboard because it leaves a not perfect corner. I guess you could cut every panel separately, but I think gluing it together would be more complicated than just putting a little caulk. You don't need to do the caulk, but I think it gives you a better job. All right, next step. We are going to cut, once this dries, we're going to cut the base to the correct size so that it looks more like this. It's the exact size of the house. And then we're going to paint it, put the shutters on. These are the shutters. You saw me cut these. I put them on tape just like that so I can paint them and they don't run all over the place. And then we'll add stone and this will be a done model. So let's let this dry and we'll be right back. All right, welcome to the back room. We are going to make the product that goes on the outside of this building now. I've been talking about this for a long time. The product I use is Woodland Senics medium ballast. This happens to be buff. I also use the gray or the light gray, depending on what shade of whatever color I'm trying to get. For instance, this panel is done with this shade of red. So I can get 4 different shades by using a different color ballast or by mixing 2 cans of paint on one ballast. This is another color paint. This is another color paint. We chose, I believe it was this one for the house. This one is going to be for the firehouse. I'm going to show you that in a minute, how to make it and how to get it off of these screens. So let me get this out of the way and I'll put up the next set. Here we go. All right, here we go. All you need is an old piece of window screen, whichever color ballast you're going to use. This is buff. We are using a paint called matte red pepper. I think that's what it's called. All right. You have to figure out how much of this product you want. What I normally do is just take a piece of cardboard about the size of the area I'm trying to cover, pour this on there until it covers it, add about 20% more, and that usually gets you where you need to be. All right, so this one I'm kind of guesstimating. I believe this is a small house. Take the paint. I usually put a mask on, but I'm not going to for this little bit. Have a plastic liner, just a trash bag or a bag from the grocery store. A little plastic bin I cut a hole in so that I can squirt the paint in there. And then as I squirt the paint, I shake it, move it around, makes a big mess. All right. Takes a little bit of time. The more paint you put on, the longer it takes to dry, but it changes the shade. That's close. A little bit more, I think. Definitely wear your mask. All right, I think that's about it. I don't know if you can see that, but looks pretty good in there. All right, take the bag out, spread it out on your screen. Really, really simple, isn't it? Okay, you want to spread this out as thin as you can. You don't want it to clump. This will take about, give it a day. You can do it usually in about 6-8 hours. You can come down and play with it some more, but I always give it 24 hours. Okay. Get it really thin, as thin as possible. There we go. That's pretty good. All right. Then that's that step complete. Now I'm going to show you after it dries, what do you do? I have some on the floor back here for the firehouses. So let's do that. All right. Okay. I tried to match the original color as close as possible. It's not perfect, but it's close. It's close enough. So that's what we're going with. You now have, this product is basically painted and laid on there on a window screen. All you have to do is rub it and it goes through, and then it's ready to use. So just, I know that's probably loud, isn't it? Really simple. And you can make thousands of colors. So basically, that's what you have. Pretty easy, right? Any big pieces that don't go through are too big, and you don't want to use them anyway. So I'm going to finish this. Then we're going to go back in the other room and put the shutters on, finish touch-up paint, and then stone is next. Did you notice the platforms? And maybe something behind me for next year's garden? All right. All right, we're back from the back room. We're back from the back. Anyway, we are going to do a few things. First thing we're going to do, I'm going to show you how to trim the excess cardboard off the front. I already did it off the sides while you weren't looking. I also added the chimney. I had totally forgotten the chimney. Really simple. You just cut a box, glue it to the side. You've seen me do all that, so I didn't think you'd want to see it again. We also painted. Originally, I had put green on here. I didn't think green was the best, so we changed it to white. You've seen me paint, not a big deal. We also had a very light green shutter. We changed that to a darker green. So let's do couple things. Let's take the shutters off of here first. All right, very simple to do. I'm not going to do them all. You don't need to see that. I only put the shutter just on the edge of the tape to hold it in place. I've learned that it will rip the back of the cardboard off if you put all of it on the tape. Kind of like these. You see how it took off some of the white? No, it's not doing too bad. All right, so you get the point with that. For the cardboard, to take the cardboard off the perimeter, I like to keep it flush to the edge, like this. So the first thing I do, cutting board's underneath, is I cut it as close to the building as I can. But because you're cutting close, you're cutting on an angle. So you don't want to cut it right to the edge. It'll look silly. So stay out about a 1/16 of an inch. So we'll stay out about, just about to that line. We'll just cut that piece off. Then what we're going to do is put the razor blade flush on the house, and we're just going to ride along the house. It's not hard, and multiple passes is fine. Kind of a sawing motion. See how I'm pulling it down? And just feel it. You can feel where it's sticking up. Come back and take a little bit more off. Not a big deal. Easy. Okay. All right. I'll clean that up a little bit and then put some brown paint on here. I'm also going to paint the porch. I just haven't decided what color, and I always make a doormat. Just a little piece of cardboard painted. But let's put some shutters on so you can see how to do that. All right. Elmer's glue with our little dispenser. Okay. All right, so you kind of get the idea. Shutters, I'm gonna leave it in this position for maybe about 15 minutes, let the glue set up, then I'll turn it and do the next side. But you get the idea. All right, so paint this, do that. When we return, we'll be putting stone on. That's the fun part. All right, we're finally here. This has never been filmed on YouTube ever, which is probably really hard to say in this world. But here we are. We're going to put the stone color on the house. All right, so these are the stone colors I made the other day. This was for the firehouse. I think this is really interesting. Sometimes it sticks, but all you have to do is shake it and it loosens right up. I'm sure it has to do with the paint, but there you are. Same thing with this color we're going to use on this house. Oh, that one's much better. All right, so let's get started here. We're going to open up the shaker side of the canister. We're going to use Elmer's glue and just pick a side to start. Now, the most important part of this is to keep it level. So whichever side you're doing, keep it level. When you do this side, you want to do this side, and you also want to do the side of the chimney, whatever is facing up. So if we do this side, we want to do the inside of the porch, and we also want to do the chimney, this side of the chimney. Now we're going to go around and do the red, then we're going to come back and do the white. All right, so let's get started. I think we'll pick this side to start. Doesn't really matter. All right, paintbrush. Okay, so you see what I have here. The whole thing is glued. Once I go over the entire thing with glue, I go back and just even it out after it has time to pull away from the various areas. Then we're going to sprinkle on the red and use this little device to tap it down. We are in about 6 hours of designing and building this from scratch. Now that the template is made, you can probably do one of these in less than 4 hours, maybe 4.5. So let's get to this. All right, now we let it sit for, I'd say, a minimum of 30 minutes, maybe 45. Turn it over, do the next side. Corey's going to speed the whole thing up. I hope you enjoy it. All right, finished the first side. It's dried for about 25 minutes. We're going to check it out. And there you have it. A little bit of rubbing, knocking off the loose stuff once it's really dry. But for now, that's it. So let's flip it and do another side. Hey, thanks for taking some of your time today to watch me build this house. I absolutely love building these houses. I think they're fabulous. There's nothing more satisfying than building your own stuff for your own layout. So this house, I had to write this down because I will not remember. This house took 6 hours and 40 minutes to build, which included the template. Now that was over 8 days. So I went down here a lot each day. To draw the template, it took about 1 hour and 10 minutes to draw it and cut it, get it ready to use. So if I wanted to rebuild this house, it'll take me about 5.5 hours, start to finish. Very easy, you're just tracing at that point. If you build more of them, if I build 3 or 4 of these, they take even less time per model. So have fun with it, make it your own, change the colors. If you put them on the layout in different places, people don't realize they're different. And I'm not sure if you saw, but we definitely got started on the firehouse my brother Shawn bought me. Now this one's a little different because this one's for me. The original is over there. It's identical to this. Mine's going to look a little different. So Corey is going to put a list of products in the description below with prices. This house costs about $11.50. I think a little bit less, but that's close. It costs a little bit more to get started because you have to buy bulk materials, but you'll get there. Give it a try. You'll mess up. I mess up all the time, but you fix it. It's easy. So please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.